to the Information Paradise podcast. We are going to talk about Nofap, health, spiral dynamics, and spirituality. Let's begin. Nofap, what is Nofap? Now, first of all, what is fap? Without the no. Fapping is masturbation. Why is it called fapping? Because this is the sound. That's apparently, that's where it comes from. So why not do that? Why is it advised that we don't do that? Well, retaining the semen aids energy. That's the premise. So that's the experiment. That's what. So basically, if we stop fapping, then what we're supposed to look for is, do we feel more energetic? And I found that yes. So?
Yeah. I feel so, totally agree with that.
So, you know,
I look at it like, when I think about Nofap, I usually see it as, maybe you've heard of this before, but if you've heard of CHAKRAS before, which are just basically energy centers within your body, then your root chakra is like your first, it's your first chakra, you could say. It's like the biggest energy pool.
Mm-hmm.
It contains literally contains a lot of energy. And semen retention is just trying to retain that energy instead of releasing it all of the time, so that from the first pool, more can flow into the second pool, and so you become like more, and then further onto the next pool, and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just, you could say it's more like energy retention. But yeah, we just call it semen retention.
Jurrian with that hitter. Now I should explain this. So basically, it's going to work at some point, but these little signs. So yeah, these signs. This means I have a comment. Okay. This means I have a question. This means I disagree. Just testing this out. And this means I agree. Jurrian has them. Connor doesn't. Okay.
I'm going to use the chat window.
Yeah. And yeah.
Do my things there.
So I did have a comment about that I had. So actually this could mean a thought. So I have a thought. It looks like a little thought bubble, doesn't it? So energy, you mentioned Jurrian, rises up.
Yeah.
Chakras, right? There's a thing we can do.
Yeah.
There's a thing we can do where we like squeeze the prostate, and it's the same. Everyone can do it when you're at the sink or just urinating. You go at the sink, which is revealed personal detail. You can stop the flow of urine using one muscle. We all know what it is. It's not like, and we can do that, and you can actually squeeze that, and the energy goes upwards, especially during orgasm. So that's Taoism. That's a Taoist thing.
Yeah. And David, for how long have you been doing this semen retention or this Nofap?
So currently I'm on about 110-day streak, and it took a long time. You know, so I've been doing Nofap. I've been trying Nofap for like 3 years. So, especially for someone like me who grew up in a school where I wasn't attractive, I had no idea what was happening. But I did have crushes on girls. This certain addiction is quite invasive for many people. So
it is.
Sexual.
Like just for me, every single time I've had like a streak longer than a month, like a girl will just like manifest in my life. And then literally anytime I like go and watch porn, they will just de-manifest. Like anyway, like there's no like why, they just do. Like they just unmanifest, or they just manifest in my life. I don't know why, but they just happen. It's very repeatable.
I heard somewhere that I'm not sure, maybe I'm paraphrasing this, but I heard that literally like having an orgasm is kind of equal to snorting cocaine. That it gives like the same neurotransmitters are released within your
Yeah.
brain as when
Really?
you're doing cocaine as that you're having like an orgasm.
It mentions that in this book. I think it actually does
Yeah,
mention cocaine.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because you also what really starts to happen is that when you, for example, when you fap every day, you are desensitizing your brain because you're releasing so many neurochemicals within your brain every time you have an orgasm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and maybe like with this analogy, it would be like snorting cocaine every night if you're literally having an orgasm every night. But I also heard that there's some, like, I'm not sure about this. Is there any difference between having an orgasm through masturbation or through having sex with another woman? I'm not sure. Does the book mention anything about that?
Not this book, but I'm pretty sure this book. Well, I'll give my thoughts first. I'm going to talk about this book here.
Okay, I have a comment. Go ahead though.
Good.
You sounded like you're gonna say something. So
Yeah. Say your thing, because I'll have mine.
okay. So what I found is that like love is important.
Mm.
So whatever practice you do, you're having sex, or you're if you're having sex with a partner, or if you're having sex with a partner that you don't love, like
Yeah.
the love is important. Okay,
For
because
sure.
I've experienced every time I like watch porn. If you don't know, like I can like easily astral projection. I have all these weird experiences. Every time like that happens, and I like fall asleep, I end up having like this bad experience. Like you see like evil creatures or whatever. It's very consistent. So like, and that would happen like if I had sex with other girls that I was just like not really interested in.
Mhm.
But it wouldn't happen with girls I was interested in. So
Yeah. So
like
love.
activating the heart chakra is important. Long story short.
Yeah. So, I mean, dude, like the experience of masturbation and sex, the only difference is that there is a person in one situation and two people in the other.
Yeah,
And in the one where one is solo, there's not love at all. There's usually kind of hate, really. Self-hate is born out of self-hate,
yeah,
shame,
yeah.
digging
Guilt,
into
you
the
know.
shame, see how far you can go. So, yeah, but then when you're with a person, you have actually, and someone you love and who loves you, you've actually attracted that person. And so the energy is just like, the vibe, you could say, is just way higher than the solo dude. Just jacking, you know.
Yeah, and also I heard there was some. Have you guys ever looked into Tantra?
A little bit.
Like they say it's kind of like the sexual yoga, and they also um, propose ideas of having an orgasm without actually ejaculating.
That's
Oh
a great
yeah.
And
topic.
I still remember trying to figure out how to do something like that because I felt like every time when I had a girlfriend, um,
Rather
we
intense.
used to have we also used to have sex. Sometimes it was daily, like sometimes every day, every week. But I always felt so, yeah, sometimes you just feel so exhausted,
Mm.
especially like right after you have the
Mhm.
orgasm. You're just so exhausted as a guy mostly. I'm not sure how it is for girls because I
It's
also know
actually
that
the inverse.
exactly, yeah, the male orgasm is like outwards, so you're like
Yeah.
ejaculating
Yeah.
also, but the female is like more
Pure.
retaining, more,
Yeah, it's all the energy.
yeah. So I think it's different, but um yeah, so I did that for a while and tried to learn that how to have like an orgasm um without actually ejaculating, and um I don't have sex that much anymore. But yeah,
Remind,
I did that for quite a while and it also
remind,
worked quite good. it's much better. I notice, at least I often feel much better when I just have sex. You know, sometimes there will be ejaculation, but sometimes also not. And usually when there's no ejaculation, I just feel like you retain that energy much more.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you can also keep going. So you can have, you can have very long sessions. So I would definitely recommend that to you guys. Yeah, Connor.
Okay, so there's this book I've been reading over the summer, and it's called The Ancient Secret Flower of Life. And in the book, they talked about how it's Ankh. Do you guys know what that is?
An
Ankh.
The Ankh. So.
Oh yeah, the symbol.
Yeah, the symbol. It kind of looks like a female sign. I'll draw it real quick. But it means some things in terms of energy. It looks like that.
I think it's life energy that it represents.
Yeah,
or like life, something like that.
Yeah, so basically there's certain ways to do this, but I would highly recommend it. Basically like converts the orgasm of the energy and brings it back around, puts it in like the Christ chakra, and then you put it back down, and that's how like people like, apparently that's how people like use the orgasm to achieve immortality.
Whoa.
Let me get this thing. So that what you just said. Oh,
I'm looking at the space.
crazy fucking. Basically, this is a picture of a human on the side like this, and it's talking about the microcosmic orbit. And it's basically just like an energy loop. So, you know, what my point is that we're seeing parallels in what you just said and Taoism. So maybe there's some truth there.
It's really cool when you study different yogas and stuff, and they all kind of say the same thing. Yeah. I've got this moon ball right here. It's the moon in the space. This is very space theme.
A big ball
it lights up.
Crack rock. All right.
All right.
Yeah. So, but why is it so hard to not fap? Many people find it hard.
Because it's literally an addiction. I think it's literally an addiction.
That's
it's the
it's
primal part of your mind, like the
deep part,
the brain stem. I think.
Yeah, like
You know how a brain has layers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead, David.
Reptile brain. All right. I'm not sure. There's a lot to say about that. But if someone's watching this and they're like, okay, I identify with that, I'll leave a link to an app called Manhood, and you can count your days. Also, you can use my website. But yeah, advice I would give is just, there's a reason why, like, basically your life has to be better than what it is now, in a nutshell, because like doing that compulsively, like jacking away, that's basically like the biggest pleasure in that person's life, the biggest intensity, the most intensity. So self-education regarding spiritual topics and hanging out with friends, social stuff is really helpful. It's it's quite a solitary act.
Also, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's quite isolating as well. But yeah, like I just really see it as if you're like doing drugs by yourself, basically. When I heard about the analogy as like it's almost the same as when you're snorting cocaine.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, it's just overall, I would say, and it's also very subtle because in our society, we don't really see it as like a real issue or like
No, I get
or like an addiction even. Like I was speaking with one of my friends, and I think it was Joshua or Josh, we call him, and you threw him into the Nofap app, and then he spoke with me about it, and he was like, what does this mean? Like, what is this about? Like, he's like, people have never heard about Nofap
Oh, yeah,
or
wow.
about semen retention.
Yeah. It's not like we're taught it in school, is it? You know, we should be.
Yeah, no.
Timothy Regal, who was at my last podcast guest, we did a whole 40 minutes on Nofap. He said that it should be the parents' responsibility to teach the kids about this kind of sort of forward stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys know about the rituals that like native tribes do?
No.
I think I heard about it in the King Warrior Magician Lover video somewhere.
Highly rated.
Basically, like back in the day, you know, like Native Americans, I think they still do this. They have this like ceremony where like a boy moves into a man, and that's like, I'm really like skimming the surface, and I don't know too much depth about this, but basically, as soon as like the guy would like start to like be attracted to the woman, the boy would go like, or the chief elders, they would like come in, like take the boy, and they would like do this ceremony that was like pretty harsh for him. They like put him, they just strand him in the forest, nothing, and he'd basically have to like do everything on his own and like become like a total man and like very matured, and then only then would he be allowed back into the group that he came from. And then now he's like a man.
Yeah, I've heard similar things, probably in an CHAKRAS.org video.
But now we just don't have those things today.
Yeah.
No.
So there's no defining line, is there, between...
Yeah. So that's how the man-child epidemic that nobody's talking about.
We need to talk about it. And this Nofap,
the man-child epidemic,
contributing to this man-child thing, this fapping. Yeah. Because loss of energy, not having that energy creates a boy in a man. It maintains boyhood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, by the way, I was, I'm not sure. I found a pretty funny picture. I'm going to share it in the chat with you guys.
Okay. Yeah. Love that.
See, can I?
There you go.
Yeah, it's, it's actually so bad now that I look at it. It's a picture of how your brain activity normally is like, and then when it's on porn, and then also it's on heroin. And it's very shocking to see. Let me see. Yeah, you guys can open it in the chat.
Okay. This is brain.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah. So for the people who don't see it, they've basically made these brain scans, and then your brain on heroin and your brain on porn is incredibly similar. Like your brain activity, or like the areas that are, you could say, active. It's very shocking. It's very shocking to see.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And this is even to heroin.
Yeah. Because it's a very deep primal drive, the drive for sex.
Mm.
And thing is,
so what are some of the benefits that you guys notice when you do not fap for like however long?
Okay, I'll go on to that. I'll just say this point. I've just written that down. Benefits. Okay. So the thing is with food addiction, like food and sex, they are as intense of a primal drive, right? The drive to eat and the drive to reproduce, right? Thing is with food is that it's completely normal and it's completely seen everywhere. I can go into my Tesco, my Walmart, and see all the sugary shit. Absolute waste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we don't see porn everywhere, do we? All right, in the aisles, even for kids to pick out. the kids can pick out a candy bar that's marketed towards their, eyes, like bright colors. But yeah, so that's why this, and anything that compulsively takes away our energy should be like, hey, I don't want that shit. So that's my view. I want loads of energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you guys say that you guys are hooked on sugar, for example?
I have definitely been.
Yeah, I want sugar, but I honestly just don't have any around, and I don't buy any. So like, I'm trying to put myself in that environment where it's just like not accessible.
Yeah, that's.
All right. Well, after the benefits, and Nofap, we'll go on to health. All right. So the benefits, I've already said, like energy. Also, like Connor was saying, the females notice when you're not deprived of the sexual energy, the urge. And I think it's like a very subtle thing, like biopsychological thing. But
this is David. It's so funny that you're mentioning this because I don't know. I like now that you say it, what I always noticed was that when I didn't fab for like a long time, I always felt like women were looking at me more. Or maybe it was just I was noticing it more. I really don't know, but it always felt like that. So it's kind of funny that you're mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like being sovereign. You know what I'm saying by that?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, you are.
You like women, but like you don't need them, and you're not trying to like, oh, do you notice me?
Yeah.
You just like kind of chill, and you could take them either way.
You're not a simp anymore.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so regarding spiral dynamics, Nofap can be important for... Okay, let's start from just blue. Blue, get closer to God. You get closer to God, guys. Timothy Regal's a practicing Christian, and we were saying how relationship with God, a la bless. Orange people, we can use this energy from the sexual urge that is retained and not just withered away to fucking grow a business, to scale a business.
Yeah.
And make money and succeed. Because, dude, without energy, like surplus energy, it's difficult to even. For me, it was
energy
difficult.
is like important for everything.
Yeah. And then green, green. To really make changes in the world, like to reduce racism and stuff like that, you're going to need your energy, guys and girls. Probably a female equivalent too, but we won't get into that. It needs to be powered and be free of things that are draining your power. So that's for the people who want to, do that stuff. And yellow, intelligence, energy. We need to retain the fucking energy to understand
like
more.
Yellow's very mental. I have a quick comment about yellow.
Oh.
Yellow's very mental, and like I'm working on like a yellow business right now that could like potentially make money for the rest of my life. So, and making that system takes like how your brain takes like certain amount of percentage energy. You can like control that
20%.
20%, but you can control how much energy because it's your brain. And same thing with digestive systems, but you need energy if you want to like fire up your brain. Long story short.
And then turquoise. Dude, if you're into spiritual work, like I was saying, like the chakra stuff, I can get that energy, wrap it right around your fucking crown chakra.
Yeah.
You want to enlighten. Get the human nice and powered. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I have a comment on that because I feel like the spiral dynamics and the chakra system, they also have some resemblances or like similarities.
Yes.
And so, the way you explain it, I also think that it would make a lot of sense that when you retain more energy, then of course within the spiral also your progress you have more energy to progress.
Yeah.
1 second, I'll be right back.
Connor sucks. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for example, when you look at green, when I look at green, what I see is, for example, I see heart chakra. I see the opening of the heart is what happens within green.
Oh yeah.
And then I think anything that can help you retain energy, if you know how to redistribute it, and when you know how to use the energy, because this is also a thing, because maybe you actually start Nofap and then you have a lot of energy, but then you can't express it, so then you spend your energy on bullshit stuff, or like things that don't really matter, or not that there's anything wrong with that, but
You gotta channel that energy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's also important. When you have the extra energy, that you channel it.
Yeah.
I was going
Some
to
people
add.
get angry. Okay. Some people get angry because they they just have all this mental energy, and it just the side effect of it just goes right to their head, and they're like, I don't know, like they start overthinking things because they have the extra energy to think about things.
Yes.
So
Now, I was going to add to our list of categories life purpose. So this is a perfect dovetail. All this energy, where are we channeling it? They need a life purpose. These people who, I got so much energy, I don't know what to do. Life purpose. It's time to get green. How do you want the world to look like? How do you want the world to be? And great thing to put energy into.
Okay, yeah, just let us know when you want to get into the life purpose section.
Yeah, we can.
So where are we still at Nofap? Did we get into health?
Yeah. Okay, let's actually begin health officially now.
Yes. Woo, health.
Dude, I got the biggest broccoli in my fridge. I'm very happy about that. Okay.
Ooh. You're buying lots of whole food, I see. That's so important, man. Great to see you
yes.
eat so
Thank
healthy.
you. God, thank you so much. Yes. So, like I was saying about health, how I think of health is from like a top-down view from spiral dynamics turquoise. Is there's this body. What personally my view is, I want to make sure that this body is as healthy as possible, has as much energy as possible, and is happy as possible. Sleep, happiness, movement, diet. And so that's they are the fundamentals of health. Any one of those four, it's like a four-legged chair. It's going to fall over. So.
No, input is output. What they say.
agreed.
Input is output. But I have been like a health enthusiast for like really long, and I also know I don't know if you recognize this within yourself, but there was a time when I tried to become so healthy that I kind of became paranoid of whatever I was eating, and that some things when I ate them I was like, oh, I feel so shitty, and this is because I ate this or this or this or this or this. So like eating healthy is so important, because again, like input is output, but there's also a trap within trying to become really healthy, and maybe you see this at least I'm seeing this trend upcoming with because I feel like that we are in like kind of a movement where people are becoming more conscious about what they eat, like where it comes from, and about veganism, vegetarianism. This is very upcoming, and this stuff wasn't present 50 or 100 or 1,000 years ago. But yeah, there's also a trap within health where you can literally drive yourself crazy and
Yes.
see being healthy as being happy, and like the two things, they're really not the same. Like being happy and being healthy. But I feel like being healthy is kind of a good foundation, let's say, to start becoming happier. I don't know if you guys would agree, but it's such a good foundation because you have so much more energy throughout the day, and
I think it's
yeah,
fundamental.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like sugar, for example, like eating too many sugary products, then you get such a sugar high, and then you get like such a big low again. And man, health and food is so important.
Ah,
Mhm.
you
What
know,
about exercise?
yeah, yeah. How do you feel when you exercise?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, in that exact tonality you said, with health is so important. I've been like that's been in my mind for the past few weeks because in that exact tonality, like, it is that important because I've figured out I've been binging on like sugary food, like cereal, and it's
yeah,
just comfort. Whenever we're using anything external for comfort, you know, anything external like to try, you know, I don't think it's a good idea because we can create it inside. We don't need anything.
Yeah, our internal technology is far superior than our external technology.
what do you
Whoa.
mean with that?
So like we could talk about like literal technology, like my phone,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
like we're so much superior
Yeah,
than
like the
the
body, you
iPhone,
mean, like the body and the brain.
like the spirit and like the
Yeah,
heart that connects to everything else
yeah,
for communication. But in terms of like you were talking about like seeking things outside of yourself, like
hmm,
you can have everything you want that's inside of yourself, like like you don't have to use external things to make you happy. You can be happy, you can choose to be
yeah,
happy just by yourself.
yeah. Yeah, we're
So
still
like
talking about health. Otherwise, I would get into happiness, or like what happiness is, because I also feel like that's such an interesting topic.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the tip there would be to from me to you is have a notebook with you. I've got my little notebook, noting down ideas.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a second screen, so I'm writing down some stuff. Sometimes I'm also researching some things,
Yeah.
fact checking you guys. So.
Yeah, that's good. It's amazing. Wow. How cool is it we're in space though? Like, you know,
Yeah,
pretty typical.
like
amazing, man. The year is 2050.
oh, which is
It's
impossible.
only a few decades away.
Literally a
What
few.
are some of you guys' health habits that you would really recommend? Like maybe it's like a thing you eat, or like a certain thing you do, or whatever. Give me some of your best goodies on health.
Okay, I'll go first. um so health, okay, so like I'm very um un ungrounded and unmaterialistic, if you can't like already tell that by we're talking and like our group chats. So I always look things to like of in terms of like energy, and so um like the grounding is really important. Like if you can go out in nature, or if you can like walk barefoot on the ground, that actually like releases the positive ions that you accumulate throughout the day through like all this like cell phone radiation, towers, all this technology that just kind of bombards you. We're actually supposed to like release that into the ground through our feet. And, you
Hmm.
know, science has done the research and proven this. Uh, I feel like there's something else I was going to say. David, you can go ahead. I'll probably remember it.
So just like walking around, going
Yeah, like
out,
nature, walking around.
nature. Yeah, great.
Oh, I remembered. Um, it has to do with like what kind of energy you're consuming. So like I don't know if you guys are like still eat meat, but a lot of the animals that live in these factory farms, they have like terrible lives. And
Yeah.
so they're basically suffering their whole
They
life.
do? They have terrible lives? I thought
Yeah.
they were so happy all together.
Yeah. So okay, we're on the same page. Just have to make that, some people are like oblivious to this. And so like you're taking some meat that has suffered its entire life and you're putting it in your body, and like your body is literally composed of the food that you've eaten. Like you look at your hand and it's grown because you've eaten food since you were a baby. Like there's no question about that. And so you're literally obtaining the energy blueprint of the suffering animal.
And so if you would take the suffering, let's say, if you took the suffering away, would you then eat meat? If you know it's like let's say it's like utopian situation where there's like an area and there's too many deer, for example, and you could shoot a deer or something like that. Joe Rogan does this, I believe. And then he eats the meat. Would you do this then? If there's no suffering, or little suffering, less suffering, let's say.
It's a great question.
There's a excellent argument. I was in an ethics class, and maybe we can do a whole another video on this, but he basically he says countless arguments about like why you're morally obligated to like stop eating meat and become like a vegetarian or vegan.
I would like to do a whole
so the question was like, if you lived in the nature, what was the question again? If you had like a utopian world?
Yeah, like this situation where the animal is not, it can live its own life. It's not within a factory. It didn't grow up on a farm. It's just a deer walking through the woods. You need to somehow get your food. Maybe.
So like I see two things. If it's a utopian world, I would like let the deer live. Like why cause unnecessary death and suffering if I can like have everything I already have because it's utopian. The other thing is the only caveat to this argument is if you're like stranded on a desert island and you don't know what plants to eat and you see a deer and you like have to survive. That's like the only thing that's like it's morally permissible in the philosophical terms. But if you have like a grocery store or like vegetables, it's like, long story short, it's like you're morally obligated to eat those veggies.
Yeah, I would say that morally, it's not really. It's very hard to justify to eat meat, especially when you really don't have to. But it was more of a question since you raised the topic that, or at least this is what I got from it, that the meats contain they kind of contain that suffering, or they contain that stress that the animals went through on maybe the farms or the factories where they grew up in. And so then my question was kind of like, would you eat that kind of meat?
Oh no, like especially if you're like someone like me that can like definitely pay attention to like the etheric energies and like the vibrations within things, like especially you should not. But if you're like very like kind of like dumbed down and you're just kind of like, you go to McDonald's like every week or whatever, and you don't know what meditation is, it will have less of an effect. It will have less of effect on that, but especially if you're like into the spiritual growth, which I think people watching this are.
Yeah, I really want to get that video of your views, Connor, on vegetarianism. I want to let you fucking reel it off. I want you to.
Okay, yeah, I've actually been meaning to do a video on that. Yeah. So
I just want this. I want it over my ear. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Right on.
So another practice. So what was that practice? That was other practice is fasting.
Oh,
Mm. Fasting. Hell yes.
I think it's good. You know, a lot of people I talk to, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're starving your body of nutrients," but they really just don't know what they're talking about. It's like a
Yeah.
very like, what are you doing? Like they literally have done no research into it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like the results to see what happens, or like what your body is capable of.
yeah,
You know, because I really feel like for example, 3 meals a day is really a narrative that you know the
Yeah.
food industry and the government has kind of shoved down your throat.
Yeah.
Have 3 meals a day is good. You know, breakfast
and
is the most
and the
important.
triangle, the
Oh,
food
Yeah, yeah,
triangle
yeah.
as well.
Also, yeah. Like these things, when you try out fasting for yourself, you will see what your body is capable of.
Yeah,
I myself, I've done half a year of 1 meal a day fasting, where you just eat
fasted
one
for half
meal.
a year.
I thought you were gonna say
Yeah.
one half
One meal
6
in
month
half a year.
fast. There was actually someone who did that. We can get into this later, but I was watching a video from Drumvalo, and he's like, "Yeah, I regulated my cells in the body to I just don't have to eat anything." I'll have to rewatch that video, and maybe we can.
What? Yeah, I heard about this guy who weighed like so many, he was so heavy, and because he had so many reserved fats, he just decided, like he did this experiment where he just ate like vitamins, etc., you know, and he didn't eat any like
Lift off his
yeah,
fat.
let's say like heavily nutritionist foods, and he would just live off his fat reserves. Literally, he would live off his fat reserves, just eating vitamins and water. That's it. No food, no
Yeah,
food. For like half a year or something like that. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So I have two comments. Um, so first is like when you directly experience this, um, like the longest fast I've did was like maybe 3 days. I want to do
Mm,
longer, but you realize that like you can do this. Like you
mm.
you're like, oh no, I'm so starving. I need some food. But then you remember like, wait, I went a 3 day fast without eating. I can totally like I can totally not eat. I don't need to eat food. You become more sovereign, you're less needy basically. And then what was the other one? There's
Yeah,
something
it's
else.
mind games also, right? Like your brain is releasing all of
Oh
these
yeah.
signals, you know, like eat, 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 you gotta have food, and you know, maybe it's not even true. Maybe it's just that your body is so used to eating in every day, and then your body just starts panicking when it doesn't, simply because, yeah, of course, like our brain is, it always tries to save as much energy as it can. So that's why we behave in patterns, you know.
Hmm.
And when we break a pattern or something, like we get stressed, we get confused, and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
yeah,
much like a
same with
mental
fasting.
habit.
Mm.
Oh, I
Well,
remembered.
that's good.
Real quick. So, the fasting, what it does, like, it basically takes like I think it's ketosis or something. David probably knows more about this, but uh, after a certain amount of days or hours, the body's like, oh, we're not eating food now. We need to go to reserved fats or like
Yeah.
reserved food in the body. Um, that's basically like the equivalent of cleaning a fish tank, the way I've seen it. Because I used to have a fish, and there was a bubbler, and there was a tube, and the tube would like blow bubbles and stuff. And once in a while, there'd just get this crud inside the tube that would blow the bubbles and like circulate the water.
Hmm.
And what fasting does is basically like cleaning that tube or cleaning the tubes inside your body that are like regulating like blood flow and everything on the physical level, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great detox also, fasting.
Yeah.
But yeah, but this ketosis is interesting. Yeah, I think it's. I'm not sure, David. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was after something like 8 hours. I think it already starts when you haven't eaten for something like 8 hours. And ketosis is just where your body, whereas normally it would get like the energy, would take the energy from the food in your stomach, from the breaking down of the food. But then the ketosis is where there's no food in the stomach, and then it switches over to getting energy from your fats. And apparently, the fat cells are like a much better fuel, and that's also when you fast, you can feel so hyper energized. It's crazy
Yes.
because these fats are just much better fuel for yeah you doing whatever. It's crazy, our bodies. Wow.
All right. I got a lot of things to say about this, so
Oh yeah.
bear with. So, basically, in this book, I'm on the fasting bit.
Oh, okay.
The first day is simple. It takes at least 24 hours for the body to commence detoxification and start pouring toxins into the bloodstream for elimination. And that's why at around the 24-hour mark, you'll feel like you've just been poisoned. It's actually the toxins from the bullshit food going through the blood to be cleaned. By the second and third days, the second and third days are the most difficult. By then, your bloodstream will be carrying up to 10 times the normal load of toxins. You will feel weak, blah, blah, blah. But yeah,
Wow.
hang in there, he says, and you will feel better than ever soon.
Yeah.
Those days are like the most
tough, dude.
Those are my longest days are like 2 and 3 days of fasting, and that's why.
Yeah, my longest is 3.
And you get past that.
Yeah.
Those days.
Yeah. It's just like a threshold you have to get over. Like once you're over the threshold of like, oh, I'm really hungry, but then you get over it, and it just feels amazing.
Yeah.
Also, another little point is that often people mistake the feelings of poor food combining for hunger and gastric stress. They actually mistake that for hunger.
Yeah.
So, and I've had, like, maybe I need to eat something to stop that. It's crazy. I think humanity is rather uninformed when it comes to food, and I think it's probably because so much money is made from the industry. So, yeah, if we can addict people, we get this money.
Yeah. That unhealthy stage orange.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also interesting, the spiral dynamics. Also looking forward to that part.
I can already smell it. It's so close.
But yeah, another important topic on health that I was thinking about was, do you guys know something about your gut? Because your gut is like the distribution center. It's like one of the distribution centers for most of your energy, because it breaks down all of the food that you consume. So having a healthy gut, or having healthy gut biomes is very important to like having steady energy levels. And I don't know too much about it, but I do know that that eating lots of different fiber foods is incredibly good for your gut biome, because there's so many bacteria within your gut, and I'm not sure exactly what the. Let's see, I'll search up some stuff on the gut.
I've been like trying to I have been eating like much healthier vegetables, but for now, I've been just kind of like using those like new like vitamins, just like 1-a-day vitamins or something like that. And I know those aren't like the best, but it's like a good start for me at least.
Like the multivitamins, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need
I
to
also take
do more
those,
health.
but I'm always a little bit skeptical about vitamins, and how much, because I hear so many people, they say, yeah, the vitamins, they don't really help at all. And then some people say, yeah, they can help if they're like additional, if they aren't
Oh,
replacing anything, then you can still use them. They can be good.
yeah. Ideally, you want to just get it from the food you eat.
Yeah, exactly. But for example, when you're vegan, you need to. I really noticed this when I transitioned. I really noticed that I was feeling so tired. I was feeling so shitty for a long while, and then I did some more research. Found that I was missing B12,
Oh yeah.
B12, and I think it was B12 and also DHA oils, or like they say the fish oil. I don't get it
Oh
from
yeah.
fish oil. I use flax oil now. So I every day I take 2 flax oil capsules and then B12, and that's like the perfect. I feel like it's a
Sweet.
perfect addition to like a vegan diet.
Right on. So you're vegan?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm like vegetarian. The only thing is like Nutella. Okay.
Nutella.
There's no there's no like vegan Nutella I can find.
Yeah. Mm.
So that I might have to like replace it with something else or just cut it out, like just cut it out because it's bad
You know what you
sugar.
could you know what you could try? I switched because I really love like chocolate. I don't know what it's called. Chocolate paste. We call it chocolate paste in Holland,
Oh,
but like
okay.
Nutella.
Yeah.
But um, what I now have is like a substitute, and it's peanut butter with like cacao in it.
Oh,
And so it's like
that
Nutella,
sounds
but then
really
it
yeah.
tastes a little bit like
Yeah, peanut
peanut
butter. Why
butter.
didn't I think of that?
And
That's
it's
good.
great. It's so good because yeah, peanut butter is it's quite healthy, especially when you get like
Yeah.
not like the trashy one, but you get a good one.
Oh, yeah, like healthy peanut butter. Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah. Right on.
yeah. But yeah, if that's what's holding you back. And what about for you, David? Do you have any diets right now other than Whole Foods?
It's literally just whole foods. Literally. And I'm feeling good. I think we have metabolic types. Have you heard about this? Metabolic type? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure my type is just fucking veg, dude. Alive veg, dude. That's where I feel best.
Nice. You made that a pasta video.
Ah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I
And
saw
that
that
was
also.
like that was
Goodbye to pasta.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but the part where you like held up this pasta and you're like, what is this? This isn't alive. You can't plant this in the ground and it will grow in the same sense that like an apple would or something. That really resonated with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eat the well, there's a saying. It's like eat from the garden, not the grave.
Mm.
It's a good idea. It's
Eat
good.
life instead of death.
But I think you like pastas are not always. Some pastas are also they can be vegan. I at least I know
Oh yeah.
pastas that are vegan. Hey, what's a good one, David, to replace your pasta with is, and I'm 100% sure you have these in the UK as well, but like they have like spaghetti or like penne or like pasta, but then made out of chickpeas or peas
Yeah.
or lentils or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Those are great because they're packed with proteins and they don't have so many carbs in them. Because I feel like carbs are
Yeah.
they're also like yeah,
A lot said about those.
sugar. Yeah, that's the bad thing about pasta. I feel like where you can
Hard
have
to-
such a you can have such a what do you call it?
bloated stomach, right? For me,
Sorry?
bloated stomach,
Mhm.
gas,
Yeah, for sure.
just lethargy, right? Lethargy.
What's that?
Feeling
Feeling
lethargic.
lethargic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like laziness. And also,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
you're taking so much energy to digest the
it's
food
giving
that it's
nothing
like
back.
sucking your brain power.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I say, no, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. No, just no, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we can move on to spiral
Mhm.
dynamics, I guess.
Well, there's also another thing, colonics. Have you ever tried a colonic?
No, what is it?
What is that?
A colonic is where colonic irrigation. It's where you get like water, or it's basically an enema. You clean out the gut through the anal passage.
It's something you just like take it and it just like detoxifies.
You get like a big long thing and you stick it up your ass.
Oh.
I'm good.
You're
You know, I think you can just like there's foods you can eat that will just like make you shit like a ton
Yeah.
for like 2 days, and then it just like is a detox. So I'm not sure what those are, but I kind of want to check them out one time in my life.
laxatives. That's what it is.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good.
Good one. Yeah.
Colonic. How do you spell that, David?
COLONIC.
Yes. Ah, okay. Oh yeah, I see it now. This is my face looking at it.
Oh man.
Invasive.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh yeah. So basically, like you pump water into your
Rectal. But the sun doesn't shine.
in your intestines,
Yes.
kind of. Okay. Do you want to move on to spiral dynamics?
Yeah, if there's anything else.
Well, health. I mean,
So much to talk about with health.
Yeah.
So much.
I think it's like one of the biggest problems in society, really.
Mental health,
Mental health. Oh,
emotional health.
Oh, we didn't even tackle that, like mental health.
yeah. So
Yeah.
for me, the way I see it is, poor mental health just comes from a lack of spiritual understandings and metaphysical understandings.
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. Pretty good summary. I always say it's like most of the mental health issues are a result of misidentification, I would say. It's like when you take yourself to be something that you're not. That's basically.
Yeah. If you can like change your self-identification,
Yeah.
That's very powerful.
Very, very, very powerful. Because we also feel like I have had or like been diagnosed with fucking depression, anxiety disorder, dissociation,
Yeah.
all of this stuff, ADD,
Yeah.
all of this shit, and like now looking back at it, I had identified, because of course we give labels to people. We say that you know you're depressed, you have anxiety, you have ADD, you have this and you have that,
And they
and
look
then
for supporting evidence.
yeah, exactly, like we just take that to be ourselves, and we're like, okay, like I'm a depressed person, and so
Yeah.
we start living in that fucking role.
Yes. The law of attraction.
And yeah, and I really feel like our current therapists, they really don't understand what depression really is, what anxiety really is, what they call it a chemical imbalance.
It,
And then they prescribed me so many drugs that would just numb me the fuck out to a point where I didn't feel anything. I felt like a zombie walking all day around like a zombie, and then yeah, you don't feel terrible, but you don't feel the good things as well. You don't feel great. You just don't feel
Mhm.
anything. You're just numbing literally what you're doing. You're numbing yourself. So yeah.
And kind of like going off that, the it depends who's watching this, but like the chakras, they regulate the hormonal glands in your body. And so if you can balance those, then you balance the chemicals and the hormonal stuff, and then those balance the rest of the system. So the chakra, like the main chakras or whatever, if you can like solve the problem at the core, and then it will ripple out and solve everything else.
But do you think, for example, a mental health issue, do you think that's a chemical imbalance in the brain?
Well, just like a knee-jerk reaction, I feel like a lot of the mental health has to do with like patterns and like habits that people have. So like cut out like all the things that are causing like mental conflict. So like news or like
Oh yeah.
just like mean people, bad friends or whatever, people that are like bringing you down. A lot of that can just like solve a big deal of health or mental health. And on top of that, like guided meditations are great, like stilling the mind. Eventually, if you really take this seriously, you want to go to like something like Kriya Yoga or something like that, because stilling the mind is like cheap talk in yoga terms. Like you obviously can have a super still mind effortlessly if you're in yoga, but if you're just getting into meditation, stilling the mind is like
a
good
revelation.
step. Yeah.
I never completely got that, like stilling the mind, because I feel like you really can't try and still the mind, because maybe you can when you're like meditating, but then after you're meditating, the thoughts come back in, of course, always.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's very much like a tiny little band-aid to fix over the, but once you get into like the yoga and stuff like that, you can just have still mind. Like I haven't experienced like a completely still mind, but from what they're saying, you can just like, a still mind is like a byproduct of doing these things. You don't have to consciously try to have a still mind. You just do have one.
I think.
Yeah.
I think that a still mind and just awareness are synonymized. I think that what the people are talking about when they're saying, I want a still mind, I think what they're saying is, I want to connect with just the awareness, which is ever present. And obviously with spirituality. But, so like this,
sorry, I almost interrupted you. Sorry. Go on.
Like we were saying, the mind often, how can I have a still mind? What I would say to that, if someone said to me that I can't still my mind, it keeps going, what I would say is that's its function, it's going to do that, but you are not your mind. Everywhere else.
Powerful.
Connection with that is the stillness that I'm looking for, I think.
I have a beautiful quote on this, which is, you cannot create stillness through activity.
Ooh.
I repeat, you cannot create stillness through activity. And there you have it. How are you going to create a still mind if every activity it comes up with just creates more noise, let's say?
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, yeah, stillness is not something we can achieve or do, but rather it's something that we don't do. It's like when we look at our thoughts, and what you say is so powerful, when you see that you are not your mind, then you can to some extent lose interest in it.
Yeah.
You can just lose interest in the stories that it's bringing up all day long, which is in a depressed person can be really bad. They can be suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
They can be really bad. But from the moment you see that the mind is more like a tool, it's not who I am. It's more like a tool that I can use. Because in our current society, I feel like this is also a beautiful quote, that the mind is the servant, not the master.
Yes.
When you see that it's just a servant, then the thoughts aren't taken so seriously.
Oh, I have a comment. Okay, so when you said this, the mind is a servant. The stuff I'm studying right now in terms of like yoga, they actually recommend putting your consciousness in the heart and using the brain as an antenna to use it for like manifestation or just like mental thinking. Yeah, so it's really cool.
Yeah, they say some books they also say that that thoughts, or that you could say the mind, that it arises not from the head, because we're so conditioned to believe it arises from the head. I don't know if this is so. Somewhere I still believe it's from the head, but that it arises actually from the heart, that the thoughts arise within the heart. And so then when you can bring them back, to your heart. And so when you bring back your awareness to your heart, it will create stillness, or there can be stillness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the brain, this is like straight out of the stuff that Drunvalo's Melchizedek talks about, but the brain is like a polarized instrument. There's like a left and a right hemisphere. There's a front and a back, and it goes on like to 64 different quadrants apparently. But and then the pineal gland is like the pinnacle, where it's like everything is centered. So if you can move it to the pineal gland, that's like good. But if you can move it down to the heart, that's where it's like truly unity consciousness, and there's no polarization. And the heart is actually where the toroidal field happens. The toroidal fields, and that goes out to the body, and other things can happen with that too. Yeah.
I actually think I believe that I don't know if you guys are into Zen or into Buddhism or into Advaita, non-duality stuff, but those teachings, I would say the essence of the teachings of, for example, Buddhism, they are actually all about they're all about disidentification from mind.
Yeah.
And of course we take the teachings and we project literally what we're doing is we're projecting thoughts onto what the teachings are supposed to mean. I also believe, for example, Jesus was preaching this, that that we have identified ourselves so much with mind, and that mind is implying all day long that we're something that we're really not, and that is the creation of suffering, the misidentification with mind or thoughts, because I always see it more like a tool,
Yeah.
It really is a tool, and you
what
are
have
in the
you
tool.
been, what
You
have
are
you
the
been
one.
learning?
I'm sorry.
What kind of books have you been reading about this? Sorry to interrupt.
Many men. But one of the great books, let's see if I have it here, it's my favorite book. Oh,
The Zen Teaching of Hang Po.
yeah.
Damn, that sounds kind of cool.
Wang Po. It's like, this is Zen Buddhism, basically. It's a guy who talks so much about mind. It's if you want to learn something about mind, then it's the perfect book. Perfect book.
We should go on to spiral dynamics. Quick.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay.
What is spiral dynamics then?
Oh boy.
Connor.
Okay. All right. Spiral dynamics is like a map of evolution and the human consciousness. And basically, we all start at one level, and then as we grow and evolve, we move up to these different levels, and we move. And some people might get stuck at one level for their whole life. Some people might only go in 2 levels their whole life. Some people will go all the way up. It very much depends on like your living conditions, and yeah, you could guys just ask me questions, but there's so much we could talk about. The book is insanely helpful. Spiral Dynamics by Beck and Cohen.
Yeah,
it's like, you get that book, you got everything.
Yeah.
So half the book is like gives you all the stages, all 8 stages, I think. And then the other half of the book is like stuff to do with those stages. Like you can, it's called Spiral Wizardry, and that's basically like becoming, like, it's one thing to just like know like, oh, you're in stage orange, but it's like, okay, what can I do with that now? How can I make that a positive aspect in our environment? Balancing the ecosystem.
Yeah. So
Beautiful.
Spiral dynamics, it's important to know about the evolution of human values, because we're living in a very complex society, and there's a lot of different types of people going around, and it also means we have a map of our own psychological evolution. So
yeah, the thing about spiral dynamics is, if you know like about personality typing, like I know that's probably a bit more common knowledge than spiral dynamics. It's similar in the sense that you can like have an individual that's at like a certain color, and we call these colors the stages, and each color is associated with each stage. But the thing is that spiral dynamics can go to a singular. You can map the stage to one person, a group of people, a whole business, an entire country can have one color. It's not just like you can call that entire country one personality type. You can't really do that. But with spiral dynamics, you can do stuff like that. You can generalize and see what development of consciousness is this country at opposed to this country, and how can we make those work together.
Yeah, it's also, I want to add that you're never really at one stage, and that most of the time it's actually you're a mixture of different stages or different colors. Maybe you're like 60% one color, and then you're 30% the other color, and then you have 5% of this color, 5% of that color. Can be it can be a mix, but it's to generalize it, to map it out, to basically map out the human evolution. So how I see it, it's an amazing model, and it's really accurate. I think it was the people who created it were also working together with Abraham Maslow, which is
Oh yeah,
the guy from the hierarchy of needs.
yeah, the pyramid.
Yeah, and it has a lot of similarities with the hierarchy of needs, but it has like human psychology
Yeah.
merged into it.
What have you
And
learned? Have you read the book or have you read anything else? How did you get into it?
yeah, I got into it through actualize.org, the
Yeah.
Leo Gura, because I think he has really good videos on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're amazing because he integrates a lot of stuff. He truly understands the stages, I feel like. But also, yeah, I have the book as well, so I would also recommend if you get into it, get the book because.
Yeah.
But yeah, I downloaded all of the stages and then I just listened to them. When I was doing
Mm-hmm.
stuff, maybe I was
Yeah.
flying around or driving somewhere, I would just listen to it.
Yeah. I asked that because there's an audiobook version on audible.com called Spiral Dynamics Integral, I think. And it's different from the book. And it's just it's like it really adds on. And he mentioned how like it took like 2 lifetimes to develop this model. Like there was there's Beck and Cohen, but before that there was Graves. So those 2 people kind of accentuated and like really brought out Graves's work. But then Graves was also working with the pyramid male souls.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was like limits to that pyramid, so that's where he fully developed. Yeah, so it's really cool. And there's other models out there for evolution consciousness, Ken Wilber's has some good stuff. I haven't really gotten to him much, but yeah, they're all good.
Yeah, they seem to strike so many resemblances. I feel like, at least.
Mm-hmm.
We should go through the stages.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, we should say some things first before we get into the stages. So the stages, we use colors to name them. These colors don't really mean, they do mean things, but for right now, they don't really mean anything. They're just arbitrary colors. And as we go up, we oscillate between service to self and service to other. Okay. So that could be like, you'll understand that once we get in, but just know that we go up in a spiral motion because instead of the levels, we go spiral because like, if you're familiar with the hero's journey, it's like a full circle. And so as you go up, you see, you grow and you're like, you come back to the same place you were, but with a greater understanding and greater knowledge. And then you can like transcend and go up to the next level. Yeah.
That's what it looks
Well
like.
put. Well put.
These are the colors.
Yeah, that diagram is really helpful. Just the point.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So I'll name the colors. So got beige, purple, red, blue, orange, green, yellow, turquoise, and coral.
Yeah. So coral, we probably won't get into it, and you can't. Something else, you can't. You mentally can't comprehend a stage if it's more than 2 above you. Okay. So just keep that in mind. If you don't understand a stage, it's okay. It's okay. So I could go. How about this? I'll go. Who's more comfortable out talking with tier 2? Let me ask that.
I'm comfortable.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know too much about the lower stages, but I know a lot about orange, green, yellow, a little bit about turquoise as well.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, wait, tier 2 are above yellow, right? I believe.
Tier 2 are just yellow and turquoise.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not too comfortable with the lower stages.
Okay. Well, I'll do the lower stages, and you guys can do the higher stages. Let's do that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll the lower stages until you get up to like blue, they're pretty simple. They're not overly complex. So let's just start. Do I have my book? I don't even know if it will show up in the background. So there's beige. Beige is like where everyone starts out as a baby, or like a wild animal, like a squirrel or something like that. It's beige because it's very instinctual, and it reacts purely off of like instinct and impulse. Like if you throw food in front of it, it will just go for it. And it's very like an example in human ways. If someone is in beige or beige the whole life, is like a caveman, very like just single person on their own hunting for food.
Yeah.
Very basic needs, kind of like the base of Maslow's pyramid. And so where does purple emerge? Purple emerges where beige realizes that it can do more, and like it can do more with more people. So what I mean by that is I can hunt better if I have a group, opposed to just trying to hunt by myself, and I can get more food and I can feel like more safe. So beige forms together with other beiges to form a tribe. And so the very beginning, we see the oscillation that I was saying with the service to self versus service to other. Beige is a service to self, technically, because it's just a single person we're talking about. So, and then we move to purple, and purpose to serve to self. So everyone in purple serves the tribe that it's in, opposed to just serving its own ego. Okay, so beige has some other characteristics that we can talk about briefly, which is like they seem to have a very rough sense of cause and effect, and it's not perfect. So they could see like they might have one experience where like the moon is full and they had a great hunt at the same time the moon was full, so they associate those cause and effect correlations.
You mean purple? You mean purple?
Yeah, we're talking about purple. Did I say beige? I meant purple.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a characteristic of purple. They also have like very arbitrary spirits, like the grass spirit or the moon spirit.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting once you start to get into turquoise, you start to realize that like it's all not BS. So just keep that in mind. And especially once you get into tier 2, you release the judgment that we'll get into. But so we're at purple now, and we have a tribe, but we realize that the tribe, there's certain limits to purple that people in purple realize, and so the limits are of like the lack of there not being any leaders.
Yeah.
You guys can interject anytime if you like want to say something.
Oh, I want to interject.
Sure.
I sent you the summary of the spiral dynamics model in the chat.
Oh,
Maybe you
sweet.
can open it. I think it will help you a lot.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, this is great. I'll just read these and then I'll elaborate a little bit until until I hand it off to tier 2 or whoever wants to talk about these. So I have it in front of me. Purple is tribal, magical thinking, animalistic, ritual, allegiance to chief. Did I say that right?
Allegiance.
Allegiance, yes. Allegiance to chief, ancestors. So like they pledged their allegiance to the big guy in the chair or whatever. And so yeah, so we talked about beige as service to self or service to other. Beige is service to self. Purple is service to other.
Yeah.
I'm getting too confused right now.
Use the other model, by the way. I sent you 2. The first one is
oh, sweet.
clearer.
I didn't even see that. Whoa.
Yeah, the big one.
This
The
is
big
a big
one, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is, and then there's synthetic transcendent, clear light,
Yeah.
question mark percentage. That's cool. Awesome. I'm gonna stick with the basic one. just for now. So, and also kind of like another general caveat is that the love increases as you go up, as you go up the levels. There's not even like a sense of self on a purple. You develop your sense of self, your ego, at red. And so that's a great thing that red does, but also red is like the most egocentric level. It's very prominent in like terrible twos, you know, those age types.
Crime is a V meme of red.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And so when we say V meme, we're basically saying the colors. Like a V meme is like a big, like if you look up what meme is, V meme is like a big collection of memes.
Yeah.
And then the V meme is like, the V meme of red is what we're talking about now. So purple realizes that it needs like a leader, and it needs to like do things for itself and be like a leader. So it red forms, and red is like an example would be like a dictatorship. It's very exploitive, impulsive. It doesn't have any guilt. It's like survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
And, if you need someone to like go kill a dragon or something, you send a red person to do that. All right. A green person is not going to be the best option if you need to like kill a dragon or something like that. But eventually red has the realization that like with other red people, it realized that like, oh, I'm like behaving in this toxic pattern that other red people are behaving in, and I need to change because it's not it's
Sustainable.
It's too toxic. Yeah, it's not sustainable, and it's too it's just too
egocentric, I would say.
Yeah, too egocentric. Sure.
Yeah.
And so it transcends. It's like, okay, well, what do we need to do? We need to like make some barriers or laws, so I just can't like walk into your house and steal all your food and leave. No, we need to have like laws and like if you do that, you'll get arrested or something like that. And that's where blue comes in. And blue is like very like right, like law and order. It's very like absolute.
Yeah.
Most religions are like blue, like Orthodox religions. Like set in stone, hierarchical. Gosh. Dogmatic, you know, traditional, conformist. Yeah. Okay, I've been talking a lot. Does anyone else want to?
I want to take over. I feel the energy.
Sweet.
So, from red, we have all the warlords and all the people who have come out of a tribe, and now they're like, okay, I can gain stuff now, and fuck it, I'm just gonna kill everyone. And yeah, so what we need is order. The limits of red become clear. That's basically what happens. So the limits of red are, we can't live in a society for very long if these red people go around without much consequence. So we need order, and we're talking about like the history of our species. So we're talking about like our ancestors. So we're kind of sat here like on our thrones, just talking about like these things. It's crazy. So yeah, we have the police, we have crime and punishment, law and order. It's great, and I'm glad we have it, but limitations of it. Order. Hey, I want to be free. I'm a free spirit. I don't like to be locked down. And myself shines through. Like, I'm sat in a church and I'm reading this Bible. Maybe one of them, maybe I don't. I don't really agree. I feel like I'm just being indoctrinated. another V meme of blue is school. From the age of about 5 till the age of about 16, and longer if one decides, is part of an institution. Now, the benefits of that are innumerable. Education, I learned to read, I learned to write, I learned to draw and shit, and I had loads of friends and stuff. But so that's amazing that we have that in society. That's a real step up from stage red societies where there's barbarians and warlords raping and pillaging. But now we live in a society, a blue society, with order and safety, thank God. From that, we realize limitations such as, because every stage has a limitation, or many groups of limitations. One of them, blue, is there's too much order. And actually I feel quite restricted in this church, you know? And I actually kind of want to start my own little disco club. But the church says that that would be sinful. There's too many booties shaking around. But actually, you know, in my heart of hearts, that feels like an evolution to me. So I ignore and I take a step of courage and I place my value on myself again. And so with stage orange comes the priority of money and business, entrepreneurship. With females often make up breast implants, and just let's enjoy the moment now. Let's enjoy now. Live for the now, as opposed to stage blue, which was, you know, live for the future. I'm gonna be a good little boy now, so that I can be in heaven. Well, with orange throws that away, and they go, you know what? I might not live another life. It might not even be the afterlife. I am going to fucking go for it now. So that's rap. You know, rap is rather orange, where it's all like, I'm the best, I'm better, Lil Uzi Vert. Rap. It's a V meme of orange. The limitations of orange become clear. If we move through that enough, through orange enough, we realize that actually this isn't so fulfilling to me. I've got tons of money, tons of cars, but I'm still dead inside. There's still a stone in my heart. So what actually matters to me? Love and relationships with friends. Friends matter to me, relationships matter to me, which means that social justice matters to me. And also the lives and rights of animals. Very caring, heart-centered we go into after realizing that orange, I like it, but now I need to move on now. So, yeah. So that's green. And also the endeavor to change the world, very green, with activism and stuff like that. Still, though, this is the last stage of tier 1, and the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 is basically the fact that, like, basically awareness of the spiral, we could say. There's lots of other things. And so, stage green is the last stage which the ego plays a very, very clingy role. As we move on to tier 2, it loosens up a little bit, become more open-minded. Green is the people at the protests, with the green hair, moralizing to people. You are bad, Jurrian. You're wearing a black coat. That means you hate white people.
Green.
You are in a space. That means you hate Earth. So green often, very often memed as arrogant and like oppressive in their mentality. So that's up until green.
I have a note about green. Green is the first stage that we talked about that it likes itself. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So green, you can like throw 2 orange people in a room, or orange. Let's just do people for now. 2 orange people in a room, and they'll see each other as competition. Like you have your business, I have mine. 2 blue people in a room would actually be like 2 different religions. Like you have your religion. Oh, it's just your religion. You're wrong. You're actually wrong. Mine is the true religion. And further down the spiral, you can obviously like red dictator versus dictator is a cheap example. When we get up to green, we're like throw 2 green people in a room and they'll get along with each other.
Smoke doobies together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that's just a little note I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Should I continue from here on?
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. Do your best.
So I also want to, the transition from orange to green is orange is, as David said, orange is very materialistic. It's very focused on achieving a lot, on personal success, getting a lot of cars, getting a lot of money, getting all of the chicks. And orange envisions that happiness can be found in the materialistic world.
Yeah.
It imagines that, for example, money can make you happy, or that whatever can make you happy. And what's beautiful about the movement from orange to green is that when you move from orange to green, you open up your heart. So green is like the opening of the heart, and you transcend to green when you, as orange, see that you have mistaken happiness to be found in objects, in having a lot of personal success, in having all of the money, and having the status and everything. Because when you are very orange and you have all of these things, you will realize that, oh, I'm still not happy. And so now in green envisions happiness or success to be in relationships, in being in community with other people. So green is all about coming together again, whereas orange was very much about my personal success. I want to make it in the world. Green is very much more, let's do this together. Let's do this together, because when everyone works for himself, we're not getting far. So let's bundle our forces, and kind of the same as that happened in purple, but also blue. It's now that we're bundling our forces, and and we want to make the world a better place. We want to help the environment, because we have destroyed the environment through many of our orange practices, because we were so busy with the pursuit of money and the pursuit of fame that we disregarded our whole environment. So now we're trying to restore that. And orange it's usually a little bit more left-wing-ish, a little bit more.
Are you talking about green or orange?
Green. We're talking about green. One of the downsides of green is that it can be a little bit sensitive, because it has opened up its heart, but this is the first stage that it has opened up its heart. It can be a little bit sensitive. So it may censor, it may restrict, it may have too utopian ideas, or like too great of a fantasy of what the world could be, and its emotions can sometimes blind it. So it doesn't get things done all too well. And then the beautiful part about the movement to the next stage is that now we're moving into a new tier, which means you could say that the spiral kind of hits hits a certain point where all of a sudden it becomes aware of the fact that there is a spiral. This is very special about yellow, because yellow now sees that it has constantly gone through different patterns and that it has learned different things. And yellow, for the first time, can integrate all of it because it is aware. It has seen, okay, I have been beige, I have been purple, I have been red, I have gone through blue, I have gone through green and yellow and all of these things. And instead of glorifying one stage and saying the red stage is the best, or the green stage is the best, or the purple stage is the best, now all of a sudden, when it integrates everything, it sees that there is no best stage. And that's beautiful about it. It sees that for different circumstances, you need to use different approaches. And so, for example, when a country is still blue, a yellow person will not try to push its yellow views on blue, because blue is still in a stage where it needs to have approaches from the stage above itself. So yellow is much more open-minded. It thinks a lot, and it's relatively neutral, as we said before. It doesn't really think one stage is better than the other. And it sees for the first time that there is also duality, which is very important. It has seen that before all of the stages have divided, for example, chaos and order, and one stage values chaos and the other stage values order. And so, as Connor also mentioned, one stage focuses on service to self, and then the other stage focuses on service to others. And so yellow becomes aware of it, that there is like a dual movement going on. And am I missing something before I go to Quaz? Does anyone have anything to add?
So yellow sees that people are locked into their V memes. I think that's what you're trying to really say. And that's like and the V meme yellow, it's nicknamed as like the flex flow kind of V meme, and it's basically like, I can see your perspective, and I can also see your perspective and your perspective, and we can integrate each other by doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So that's like a good thing that yellow has going for itself. But the limits of yellow are it's still a service to self, because the green, I don't know if do you want to talk more about this, or do you want me to keep going?
I've got a comment.
Go ahead, David.
Okay, I finish your thought.
Okay, sure. So going back down to green, we realized that like the heart is very important, and talking is very important, but we also need to like do things. And since we're at green, we don't like orange. So we don't want to be like all this like, let's do this, but at the same time we also need to like do things. So that's what the yellow emerges, and the yellow is like, okay, how can we integrate everything? And it's okay if we take like the best parts of orange and the best parts of blue and the best parts of each stage, and we organize those. And ideally we want to have a whole spiral that has the best parts of all the stages. There might be like part of the spiral that's like there's like a toxic part in red, for example, that we need to like resolve by doing something with the living conditions, or something. The living conditions are like what I've found the books are a main character. So the movement from yellow to turquoise is that spirituality starts to creep back in.
Before we go on to turquoise, basically With yellow, we figure out, it becomes clear to us that people are actually often locked in different paradigms, as we were saying. And wow, actually, let's talk about were you just about to talk about the limitations of yellow?
Yeah. So yellow.
When you notice that someone's locked in a paradigm and they don't know like anything about spiral dynamics, it can actually be really distressful. So you'll find often that the big thinkers and like people who think systematically often can get into a depressed sort of can get a bit depressed. My family is stuck, but then there's also open-mindedness because we know that it's natural.
Kind of like a side note, spiral dynamics is a stage yellow concept. It came from stage yellow people. There are other, like we mentioned before, there are other models that are stage yellow models that map out evolution, different kind of how things work, how there's different integral parts of things. Like the anagram is kind of like a stage because it's a system. There's different personality types. So spiral dynamics is also like another system. And so the limits, I was reading about this the other day, the limits of yellow is that it's still very mental. So it's still thinking because it realized that it needs to like detach itself from green and all the other stages to get a broader perspective of the whole system. Because, green heart is open, but it's open and loving attached to itself green. So it actually needs to detach moment for a second, and that's where the yellow happens. So by detaching, it's in its mind, I think, by default, and so that way it can think of things. But then it realizes that it's still only one person, and it's still very much in the service to self. Yes, sometimes I get those mixed up. Service to self, and it can only do so much as one person. It can't like communicate instantly with globally with other people, and that's where it's like, I am still only one person. Stage I was like, I'm still only one person, and I can only do so much with my systems and my mental maps. We need to like actually have a multiple of groups of yellow, if I understand this correctly, and so by doing that, there's attributes that come with the transition of turquoise, and that's like your like pineal gland becomes like an antenna for higher consciousness. That's like a very prominent example of like if someone's doing that, they're definitely in the turquoise category, and they can communicate like instantly with other things globally. And I would also say that unconditional love starts at tier 2, but is really refined when it moves to turquoise.
Yeah, beautiful.
Other attributes of turquoise in this nice little picture you sent me, but also just from memory, is so it's a holistic, spiritual, mystical, hyper intuitive. Intuitive is like a superpower of turquoise. And then the universal compassion is much like the unconditional love. Things from the book, it's like they work with energy fields, like around the body, around planets, things like that. And that's why I've been studying Drunvalo's stuff, because he talks about the Merkaba, which is an energy field around the body. And so I've been talking a lot. Anyone else?
I can take over from turquoise.
Sure.
So what's about yellow? Yellow has all of these great ideas, but it realizes that it is by itself, and it has so many great ideas. It has so many things it wants to implement and wants to do for the world, that it yeah, and also because it is a little bit detached, it can get a little bit cold, or yellow can become a little bit, it can feel really lonely. Also because it has this whole world in his head of how he wants to do it, but yeah, he's just by himself.
Yeah.
And in order to transcend to the next stage, which is then a service to others again, turquoise, it really starts integrating spirituality, or you could say non-dualism, actually. So turquoise is really interesting. We don't know too much about it, and we know of a couple of people that are into turquoise. I could name a couple of people,
Yeah.
but there's not many people in turquoise, because turquoise people, um, they are beyond rational, they are beyond science, they are beyond models, because this is what yellow is very much about. It's very much about modeling, 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 modeling. But then turquoise sees that this modeling that he has done about reality is not the actual reality. And so in turquoise, yellow lets go of its models that it has about reality, about the things that it needs to do and whatever, because it notices that when it's um, too busy with trying to change the world and trying to integrate everything and to apply all of these models and make all of this change, because it's so busy with that, it doesn't it takes that to be it also again takes that to be kind of a absolute reality. And in turquoise, it lets go from these models, and it sees that these are just models, and um, and this lot of thinking, this overthinking from yellow, this over mapping, this over trying to fix the world, this calms in turquoise. It eases down,
Mm-hmm.
because um, in yellow has looked so deep within. If it has looked deep enough within, then it can transcend to turquoise, and it can see that um, yeah, what can it see? It sees that it starts also becomes very spiritual, turquoise. But turquoise sees for the first time that um, that
No
there is
matter.
this thing of non-duality, which
Yeah.
means that reality is inherently non-dual, meaning that um, there is no separation between me and someone who's in red or in blue or in orange. There's no differences between anything at all. You could kind of say that everything is oneness. This is also what some people call non-duality. Everything is oneness. And so this frustration that yellow feels, because it wants to change the world, and it wants to map out and figure out things all of the time, this calms in turquoise. And because it calms in turquoise, and because it recognizes that um, it is this oneness, there is a greater sense of compassion. A greater sense of compassion arises, and yellow becomes less cold. It becomes more empathetic again. It becomes more interested again in others. And
Yeah.
it can be a
So
little bit too woo-woo sometimes, turquoise, or it can have difficulties trying to bring over some of these spiritual ideas. But yeah, kind of in spiral dynamics, there are stages above turquoise, and in the book they also mention it. You could even take the spiral and then copy the spiral and then paste it on top of it with just more advanced versions, and they say that it can keep going like this. I'm not sure if that's true. Some people say that there is
yeah.
another stage called coral or clear light beyond turquoise.
Have you guys noticed on the page here, front cover,
Yeah.
There's actually white above coral.
Oh, I just thought it was getting lighter.
Nope. Oh, look, that's white. Look there. Like,
Okay.
it's right from the bottom.
Okay.
Nice.
If you look on your...
Yeah, I have a hypothesis about coral or clear light. So you know that turquoise can access universal consciousness like
Yeah.
instantly. Like it can just kind of like go into the Akashic records, go back like 50 years ago into its memories and kind of just like find something.
I don't think so, man.
Really?
I'm sorry. I really have to disagree with that. Because because the thing is, what turquoise realizes and why it's so extremely special is that it sees that it is universal consciousness. It has looked so deep within in yellow that it recognizes it has always already been, you could say, this oneness or this universal consciousness. So it doesn't really, yeah, it has, I don't think it has much to do with that you can use telepathy or something like that, or even though I think many of these things might be real, but I don't think they have an association with turquoise.
Okay. I just remember in the audiobook, I think it was Beck talking. He said that in turquoise, the pineal gland is like an antenna for receiving higher consciousness.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, because you're more open. Because when you get the sense of non-duality or the sense of oneness, and you truly understand it, then you see the world from a whole different point of view, which of course happens in every stage. When you go up, you just see things through a different lens. Literally, what the world is to you, what the concept the world means, it changes all of the time. It develops all of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
So
that
go ahead.
there are many aspects of turquoise, and non-duality and mystical stuff are both aspects of turquoise. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Because I like, do you know some turquoise people, for example?
I could list some.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
So like Drumbelow Melchizedek, he's the guy I've been studying. He has that qualities of turquoise, the unconditional love and the heart-centered, and communicates with higher beings. And the thing I was talking about with coral is like the beings that he communicates are coral.
Whoa. Okay.
So
makes sense.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Ken Wilber is also a great example of someone who I think is quite turquoise himself.
Do you think he's turquoise or do you think he's yellow?
I think he's yellow turquoise. I wouldn't say that I know of anyone who is solid turquoise.
What about Ramana Maharshi?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I think he's a good example, but he
Is that?
Yeah, I don't know if he definitely has like a lot of turquoise aspects in it, but I feel like he hasn't integrated yellow enough.
What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? Ramana Maharshi?
Yeah.
So, okay.
But I think he's quite turquoise, yeah. But I think he could solidify himself if he...
I mean, he's dead.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
dead.
of course he's dead, yeah.
You're talking like he's alive. I think he could work on something. Yeah, he could definitely build a business. He's definitely missing that. Mate, what are you doing? Sat around meditating all the time? Get money. Get those dollars.
Yeah, for example, like one of the things that Ramana Maharshi always did was that he wanted to transmit truth, or let's say to wake people up, to enlighten people. This is also, by the way, this is what turquoise is. Turquoise is kind of enlightenment.
Yeah. I agree.
But he wanted to enlighten people through just sitting there, just sitting,
Yes.
like walking around in a diaper on a mountain somewhere. But he just wanted to transmit it through silence. And so, for example, something like that. That's
I believe I'm going to get there. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest and candid. I believe I'm getting there.
like walk in a diaper somewhere in the mountains, sit in the
Yeah.
cave. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. That's all I care about. It's just a diaper. I'm at stage brown. Okay.
Alright.
But yeah.
I
So
think
what
we've
other
gone through.
turquoise people do you know?
Sorry?
What turquoise people? I think we're talking about that.
Yes.
Some people would say Sadhguru, but I don't really know.
Mm.
I kind of don't really. I don't know. I feel like.
Oh, he's got some good advice.
Yeah. I guess yeah. I'd say I put him below Ramana Maharshi in terms of like consciousness. But then again, it's just my yeah. He's doing great work though. You know, like yellow stuff. He's really building a system. I want to build Information Paradise like his Isha Foundation because he's put in work.
Cool.
Oh yeah, you also have some, of course, you have like movie characters which also resemble certain stages.
Sure. Yeah.
For example, Dumbledore from Harry Potter. He's seen to be turquoise. The White from The Lord of the Rings. David Bowie also.
Oh yeah.
I would also call Albert Einstein was quite turquoise as well, because he was very spiritual. Many of us don't know this, but he was very spiritual. As well as Tesla, Nikola Tesla.
Yes. So what I think is turquoise about the scientists is that they went so far that into like metaphysics and stuff that they literally with science were saying the world is one.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, David. Literally, this is what they. But of course, we know this. Like 100 years, we already found out that, for example, particles they don't carry any mass at all. When you deeply look into it, like when you go deeper into the particles, you go deeper, you can infinitely go, because the universe is one. You could say it's one infinity, so you can infinitely dive down, and then we also found out that there's not even a particle if there's no observing, that it's just a waves, that it's both a wave and a particle dependent on whether it's being observed or not. And yeah, the people like Einstein, Tesla, Bohm, all of these people, they discovered this. Yeah, they already knew this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought Einstein was yellow.
Yeah. Thing is, so I was thinking as we were saying that, like I said, I think the discoveries he was talking about with metaphysics and saying like E equals mc squared or whatever. I think, does that mean that energy can't be created and destroyed? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he basically said energy and mass, they are the same thing. So you could say that there's either only mass or there's only energy, because the two are interchangeable.
Wow.
So yeah, literally that's what non-duality or like oneness is about. Like you see that there is
turquoise. But I saw on the Spiral Dynamics website that Albert Einstein was stage yellow being. So
yeah,
I don't know.
But for example, one of the quotes by Albert Einstein that I love is that he said, reality is merely an illusion, but it's a very persistent one.
That is terrible. You got to agree, Connor, right?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was very spiritually awake, but you for example, you need to know this because a lot of people they don't get what he tried to say or what he tried to.
He's hailed as like the king of science.
Yeah, this guy was he awoke himself because of science. Yeah.
I want to shout out a previous podcast guest. He's called Seth Kostek, and he's been on 3 times. And he is like into this. He's going.
Man, he is so good. And I watched his videos. I watched your podcast with him as well. But he explains the double slit experiment so well. And this is what I was just saying, that you have like the particles and then the waves. And then the double slit experiment showed that a particle can be a wave when it's not observed. But when it's observed, then all of a sudden it collapses. The wave collapses into a particle.
Yeah,
that's in my head, but
quantum stuff.
Yeah. It's basically you found out that the observer and the observed, they are so interconnected that one cannot go without the other.
I've got 2 things to say here. So, in my meditations in previous days, I've said that, I've heard this in other places, like, there can't be anything without our observation of it.
Yes.
They're literally like that. They're closer than close. And second thing I want to say is this question: how many infinities can there be? Can there be 2 infinities?
Well, if
No.
there is,
I say no.
do you know what infinity means? It means inclusion of everything. Everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, there can only be one. If you see this, then you can already wake up like this.
Well,
yeah.
Just the devil's advocate. You know, the like in math, there's like there's 0 to 1.
Yeah.
There's infinite. That there's an infinity inside that distance.
Yeah.
What about the distance between 0 to infinity? That's also infinite distance. So wouldn't we say that the infinity in between 0 to infinity is greater than the infinity between 0 to 1?
No.
Well, you know what they say? Scientists they speculate this, right? But I already know that it's not just speculation, it's truth. They will find this out. That the net energy within the universe, like, so if you would take all of the dark energy of the dark matter, the positive energy, the positive matter, if you would take everything and then clash it out, so you clash all of the dark energy and so all of the negative energy and the positive energy, what do you guys think is the net result?
Neutral.
Yeah, that's 0.
Perfect. It's 0. And they discovered it's 0, and that all of the positive energy cancels out all of the negative energy, you could say. It cancels it out, which makes it 0. And 0 is infinity because it's nothing, which means it can be everything because it is no particular thing. So yeah, then you have an infinitude of positive energy and you have an infinitude of negative energy, which is, that's infinity. It cancels each other out. That's beautiful, right? I think that's just amazing. It cancels each other out. It becomes 0.
Another thing that aligns with this is the fact that we can zoom in forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
And zoom out as well.
Yeah.
In the same way, we can zoom out, and it never stops. It will never stop. This is literally what infinity is. It means no end and no beginning.
So this is metaphysics, right?
We're getting metaphysical now, yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, like, people, like, the word metaphysics, it has like that's so, it's scary.
Yeah.
People resonate with that.
Yeah, I think you have to explore yellow at least. If you, otherwise, I don't think you're open enough to. You need to have reached yellow at least once or understood the values of yellow.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you know what happens? Because you know who I also thought was turquoise?
Who?
Jesus.
Oh, of course.
He was very turquoise. And
Yes. Gosh.
you know what happened to him when he preached turquoise?
Ah, yes.
We all know what
He-
happened to him.
Yeah.
Got put on a cross because the people
Company.
took his message to be something else. They took it to be like some sort of devilry or
I know why. I think I know why.
yeah. What?
He said I
Mhm.
instead of we. He said I and my Father are one. He should have said we and our Father are one.
Yeah.
He should have substituted I with we, because then when he says I, he's just doing poetry. When he says we,
Yeah.
he means everyone, and what he really means is everyone. He should have just said we.
But we
So
implies that there is more than one.
Well, you got to think of like what stage was humanity at when Jesus came? What level on the spiral were they
Yeah.
at? They were
Like-
probably at like red, right? Maybe blue.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like.
So and Jesus was at turquoise,
Definitely.
as we are talking about. So they're probably not gonna get well, mesh well
Yeah.
No,
perfectly.
of course not.
That's why turquoise and blue, like if you talk about turquoise, but yeah, people will picture it to be blue
Yeah,
when it can
and
actually be
that goes
turquoise.
with the you can't imagine something higher
Yeah.
than itself, the two levels. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. How are you guys feeling then?
It's been, geez, how long has it
Been
been?
a long day. About to shoot my friend.
How
Yeah,
many hours?
We've been here for infinity in this universe. We are all in.
I forget the
floating in
Connor's in the
space.
morning. You're in the morning,
yeah.
Connor. And,
Yeah, it's like 1. I started at 10 o'clock.
wow.
Shall we make an ending to
But
it?
it's Saturday, so it's like I don't really have anything.
Yeah, let's make an ending. I mean, unless we got any more to say. The thing is, I could go on forever. So,
Yeah. We could. I would thank the viewers if there are any.
Hey,
There are any who
Watch.
survived up until this point.
thank you very much, viewers. God bless. Allah bless. And we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.